right.
Hey guys, we are live. It's Ted Bogert with the Ted Show. I have been looking forward to this guest coming on the show since I got introduced to her, and she's a force to be reckoned with, and I mean that in the most positive, loving, supportive way. I think it's amazing what she's accomplished and what she does, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear her story. Everybody, welcome Kym Rock. What's up, Kym?
Hey, what's up? You're in Florida, right?
Yes, I'm in sunny Florida. It's beautiful today. It's very
Oh,
windy. It's unseasonably cooler than normal. And you're out
yeah.
in Colorado.
Yes, I'm in Vail, Colorado, near the ski resort.
Sounds
Literally,
horrible.
my home is literally, gosh, only maybe 5 miles from the airport. So,
Wow.
it's really nice. I mean, the interstate, you just jump on, just go. When I drive
Right.
across country to see my mom and dad in Virginia, it's literally what, one turn straight.
Vail
One
is
turn
Vail's one of
straight.
my Vail's one of my favorite places in Colorado.
Yeah,
Absolutely love it.
yeah.
All right, so you have a big story, a really motivational, inspirational story. So tell them a
I
little
do.
bit about you, give them as much origin story you want, and then of course,
Okay.
I had a few comments I want to tell you before you say. People are like, Ted, aren't you going to get in trouble for saying "fight like a girl"? And
No.
I said, no, 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 actually the complete opposite. So
Yeah.
go ahead, tell them your story. And Hillary Harrison says hi.
Oh, hey, Hillary, that's my daughter. Hi.
Hi, Hillary.
And I want to say hi to
No
my mom and
comment.
dad. I always do that whenever I go on to any interviews. Hi, mom and dad, John, Janet, Blake in Virginia, and my brother Toby. So,
Hey,
anyway,
everybody.
hey everybody, hope you're doing well. Well, my story. It's I got married at a very young age to the wrong person, and I'm a survivor of domestic violence. And so I got into the martial arts to learn how to just to defend myself, so nothing like that would ever happen to me again. And I got into it with a vengeance. And I spoke with my karate instructor at the time, and I said, the worst thing you could possibly tell a karate instructor, which I didn't know, is like, this is stupid. This is garbage. This doesn't work for me. But
Why did
but
you
back
say
then,
that?
well, back then in the 80s, it wasn't, it was mostly men. There was only one other woman in the class, in the adult class. And I said, this doesn't work for me. I said, what do you do when somebody's got you up against the wall by your feet and your throat? And I said, how do you get out of that? And I kept posing all these scenarios to him, and people were flipping each other. And I had this great big guy across from me. I couldn't do anything. I said, this is not working for me. And he says, you're not doing it right. And my partner at the time, Tony, may he rest in peace. He's the one who put the plate in my neck, but he passed away several years ago. He looked at Jerry. He says, she's doing it right, but she's right. It's not working for her. And so I started a very long time ago talking to my karate instructor about how we could devise techniques that will work for anybody. It didn't matter what your size was or anything, that they're real technical techniques that would work if you perform them correctly. So we started doing all these crazy techniques when I was a green belt. And then I decided to get as many credentials as I possibly could and win everything I could possibly win. I was
What did
his
you go
first
out and
world,
win?
won 7 world karate championships
Wow.
back in the
Congratulations.
90s, and was inducted to the USA Hall of Fame 5 times, and the World Karate Union Hall of Fame 2 times for female instructor of the year, competitor of the year, self-defense. Anyway,
How
so
did
that's
you?
how I got
I'm
into it.
fascinated by this story. So tell me, how did you go from, all right, I don't like it, I'm going to create my own, because that's a very structured. Any kind of martial arts to me seems
Mhm.
structured. How were you able to
Yes.
create your own world in that made sense, that was real world for what you had experienced?
Well, I found out that women, no, first of all, no woman wanted to go into a karate studio back then in the 80s because, we diet for 6 months before we put a wedding gown on because it's white, you know.
Right.
So to get women to take personal control of their safety, I had to think of a way to make it not scary. And so I kept creating all this curriculum. And how it really came into play is I was doing seminars all over the United States where people would pay me to come in and do it for the women. And I would never teach the program. I refused. Everybody's like, why don't you put this on a DVD? I said, no, I refuse to be, another Billy Blanks where it's on a tape, it's real good, and then boom, it's gone. I didn't want to do that. So I decided to come up with a curriculum that was web-based and certify instructors to teach the program. And I still do that. I've switched a lot to anti-bullying. I've got a whole curriculum I created for that last summer. It took me about 4 or 5 months to create that for the standardized school system, like third grade through 12th grade anti-bullying system, which is done through the martial arts. I call it Positive Power Program, which martial arts is essentially recycled energy or recycled motion, is where you turn the negative energy that the person is coming at you with, whether it be verbal or physical, and turn it into positive for you, whether it be your well-being, your self-defense to your mind, your body. To me, that's the whole thing that Fight Like a Girl is. And when I called this Fight Like a Girl, at the time it was a term of weakness, and I started it back in 2000. Oh gosh, back in 2004, I think it was, or 3. I started with the Fight Like a Girl. And how that came about, and this is kind of funny. I used to take in a lot of kids that were in trouble a lot from the alternative school when I taught at the beach, and I wouldn't charge them anything. And I remember this one kid came in there. He was a real bully, and my other little kid was being nice to him. He was like a brown belt, and so he was sparring with him, but he was being nice. And so the bully kid just like he says, "You fight like a girl." And then I looked at the brown belt, and I gave him a wink. In other words, like, okay, turn it up. Nice. And then so they started fighting. And then he got mad. He says, "You fight like a girl." I said, "That's right. He does. And so do I. And so do you." And that became the name of my curriculum. So
it is funny. And I'm going to read Hillary's comment in just a second, Hillary. But it is interesting because I thought about it when I wrote it. And then I didn't think about it again. I'm like, this is her program. This is her platform, her initiative. But it just has that negative, like it's like you're degrading somebody when you say it, and it's so the opposite. It's you're using it to empower. But I want to read what Hillary said. It's so much more useful to learn the techniques in person. She made great choices. Hands-on is the most effective. The self-defense, it takes away scariness. So yes, she must have, and that's your daughter. So I want to ask you, how was that? Your children were younger, because you said you got married younger. And you got into self-defense after a domestic violence relationship, I'm assuming marriage.
Right.
And so what was it like for the kids? Were they learning it or the children? I don't know how many children you have. Were they learning it with you? That's
the second marriage. Let me go to the second marriage. It was the first one who was the bad person. The second one, which is Hillary's father, is this really sweet, nice guy. We're not together, but I raised Hillary since she was a little girl. She was quite young when I came into her life, and her real mom passed away from cancer. As we know, the C word is terrible, and so I raised her with her father. So yes, I call her my daughter, stepdaughter, but she's my daughter. And yes, she started taking martial arts with me. Gosh, right from the beginning. So, and then one time she quit because she didn't want to do it, because, it's hard when your parent is the karate instructor,
Correct.
And I said, well, if you don't want to do karate, you have to do something, but you're not going to do nothing. So she stepped away from it for a while, and I left her alone, and she came back. And so the key to keeping her in it is, rather than me critique her when something was wrong, I had another one of my black belts do it. So that way, if it was wrong, they'd fix it. And then all she got back from me was, "Oh, that's awesome. You're doing it right." And so, and
has
she's
Hillary
a great
heard that story before, or is this the first time?
No, she probably hasn't. And I do have another story. I remember Hillary did not like to spar, which is fighting. We have gear on and stuff like that. And she didn't like that. It was not her thing. And she was fighting one of my students at the time who had attitude, which I get a lot of kids who have attitudes, but they change and they become better people. And she decided to really whack Hillary really bad. And it was awful. And I said to myself, I said, okay, well, Sensei's not going to take care of that tonight, but next week when we spar, we're going to take care of that. Because she was not a minor. She was over 18. I said, we're going to fix that. So I fixed it. And then after that, everything was fine. Everything was fine. I'm sure Hillary knows who I'm talking about, but she actually turned out to be a great person.
What do you think? What do you think it is about martial arts that takes those kids? Because you've mentioned bullies a lot. You also, I know that there's kids on the other side of that too. There's kids that are incredibly shy, just very introverted, and there seems to be something that happens when they take up martial arts. What do you think that is? What's causing that change in people?
I started the Positive Power program here because, as you may or may not know, we're called the Suicide Belt here in Eagle County. And I really got tired of seeing all the kids committing suicide. So I created the anti-bullying program. And I said, okay, I'm just going to bite the bullet, do the nonprofit. I know I'm not going to make any money. It's all going to come to my pocket for a long time until I get it up and running. But the reason it works for introverted people and kids that, you know, may spend too much time playing video games or really shy is because when they have a good instructor, I mean, and it's really about, I say teacher. I mean, to me, there's instructors and there's teachers. I always remember my teachers. My karate teacher is a teacher. He knows how to teach. So when they come in, the first thing you have to do is show them like, hey, you can do this. And as soon as they realize that they can do one technique that they never thought they could do in a million years, that self-esteem just goes up through the roof. It's positive reinforcement that they're not getting in our social media world where everybody can type an insult because they're not standing face to face. So when they get into the karate family and they find out that all these other kids that are like blue, brown, black belts, and they just encourage them as soon as they walk into the door, because that's the kind of environment that I provide in my dojo. And bullying absolutely is not allowed, period. And if you're caught bullying, you're out of the program, you're out of my dojo. That's it. You're done.
I wonder, you've mentioned a couple of times where bullies have come in, people were bullying. I'm fascinated by that. I've heard this before. It is transformational for the bully as well. They come in. Is it because of the structure that you set up or the boundaries that you set up, do you think?
It's usually most people that are bullies, if they're not transformed, they'll be in jail by the time they're 24, and a lot of them actually, unfortunately, move forward in life and become abusers to their person themselves. So I have bullies in my program, and I have victims of these bullies that are in class together that now are best friends. Okay, that the school system has sent me, because usually a bully is acting out because, number one, they're not getting the attention that they need at home. They've got problems at home, and they're pushing them out on everybody else. But I will say about 15 to 20% of bullies, they're just plain mean. I mean, 80% you can help. 20% you can't do anything with them. You just can't. And I mean, and I tell some of my students that, and they're like, I've tried this. You told me to do that. You told me to do this. They're still doing this. I said, okay, I've taught you there's a time to be nice and there's a time not to be nice. Now you need to know when that is. Okay. And your parents know, are like times, if they don't stop, then you do something about it. Because if not, that person's going to keep doing it to you and other people. So we try to handle it in a very safe way. And bullies just want attention. And so when they come into the school and they may act like they can do all this and that, and then you put them in there with all these little teeny kids that can do spinning, flying, roundhouse kicks, and this bully, he's like this much taller, can't even do a front kick, and you're like, oh, whoa, well, I must not be as tough as I thought I was. You know, so that it kind of like feeds off of each other. So.
You work with adults as well?
Oh yes, I've been teaching. Oh gosh, tell my age now. Oh, 37 and a half years. I've been the karate instructor. See, most women are smart enough not to do this for a living.
But I love the fact, like I have a lot of friends who have started martial arts later in life as grown adults, first time ever going to martial arts, and it's really changed them. I hear from them. I've asked a couple of them. They're like, I just didn't realize I had so much that I hadn't dealt with or I hadn't talked about or thought about, and this just helped me kind of focus. Do you see that a lot in your adult classes with your adult students?
Actually, adult classes, the reason that it's so good for a lot of adults, because a lot of times they're looking for something they never could find as a child, or maybe they missed out on something that they wanted to do. Because typically between like 20 and 30, you don't have any money and you're in college, so you can't pay for anything. You know what I mean? So you either go to karate when you're a kid and your parents pay for it, or you can come in through our nonprofit. But usually between 20 and 30, you're in school and you got other stuff going on. But what I have found out with some of my students in the past and adults who have, graduated to the level of black belt, they told me things that happened to them as a child that they had suppressed, that they never told anyone before. And the karate enabled them to talk to me about it. I mean, it's like, I'm so glad I'm doing this. And I probably didn't tell you, but this happened to me when I was a kid, or this happened to me when I was a kid. And they never told anybody. They didn't tell their parents. They didn't tell anybody that something had happened to them horribly. And I'm not going to say what that is, but I've had men and women tell me about things that's happened to them, as they felt that they could trust, to tell me that. So
I love the building blocks of the trust, and I like that there's structure and boundaries and consequences, things that there's just not a lot of. You were mentioning social media earlier. I mean, anybody can be a bully on social media and not much is done about it.
Yes,
it's much
that's
armchair
true.
bullying.
Yeah, that's true, because people can type and say things, and words do hurt. But I've, on my website for the USA Karate Center is a nonprofit, and we do the anti-bully side program. We have a page on there. It's called the Bully Chain Protocol Promise, and anybody can download that PDF. And it's a promise that you make between you and your child, of what to do before something gets to the point where your child might be actually thinking about hurting themselves or even killing themselves. It's like a preventative promise, and that is on the USA Karate Center website.org as well. So, and also we break boards. No, I mean, I know that sounds crazy, but you take a little kid and you show them how to break a board, and they break one for the first time. It's like, their whole world has just changed. And they're like, I can't break that board. I said, you can't break it yet, but you're going to. And as soon as they break it, it's like, wow. And I try to convey to them, breaking a board is just like things in life. Are you breaking the board, or are you trying to go through it to accomplish something? And I said, life will put boards in your face. Now you either need to break it or whack it or go around it. But life is a board. And I said, sometimes you just got to break through and work really hard to get to where you want to be. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. So
I want to share, Carmen just said my daughter was being bullied at an early age, and martial arts allowed her to build confidence. And she just said, big appreciation for what you're doing. And I think that is what happens a lot. Sometimes parents use martial arts as a drop-off. It's just a drop-off from school. It's one less hour they got or 2 hours that they have to deal with their kids, or if they're working and they can't get them and the school programs are over. But I've seen it personally be life-changing for many people, including so many of my adult friends. Where do you get this perspective? Where do you come? How does somebody who experienced domestic violence go from that to somebody who really is very knowledgeable and insightful about the human soul and the human psyche?
Well, I'm a firm believer. I'm a Christian, the Baptist. I mean, I don't go to church every Sunday, but I believe this, and I tell everybody at my seminars that everyone's born with a gift. You have it inside of you, and you just need to find out what it is. And once that God has shown you your gift, by God, you better spread it and use it, because that's what you're born to do. And I found out this is something I was good at. I was good at trying to solve a problem, and creating a curriculum to solve a problem. And right now, I'm trying to get my curriculum into the school systems here in Eagle County, for a countywide initiative, because we have done statewide initiatives for the Girl Scouts, and it's called Fight Like a Girl Scout. We've done that for the state of Colorado, and it's age-based. And, so creating curriculums to solve these problems is something that, I've been doing for a long time. Fight Like a Girl is probably 22 years old now.
Wow.
So it's been around for a long time. I've been on a lot of networks. The only network I haven't been on is CNN. So they're kind of stingy, but they're the only one.
Are you doing stuff online? Are you offering, I usually do this at the end, and I will reiterate it at the end, but did you create, because of COVID, start creating things that were online, that were accessible for people that weren't in Vail or weren't in your area?
Well, I tell you, since I closed on, we've been closed for 42 days. I moved into a really nice dojo, 2,000 square feet. And 6 days after I moved in, we had to close. So I said, well, I've got this beautiful place. And yes, I have been doing online free classes for everyone for the past 4 or 5 weeks. And They go up on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. You can access them nationwide. They're all on my YouTube channel. Beginner classes, and then you'll see ones that say blue to black level, or other words, intermediate to advanced. That's for people who have some experience and they want to further their experience. I teach weapons, sparring, bow staff, single nunchaku, double nunchaku, and so that's all on my YouTube channel, Kym Rock.
So I need to tag that. We are live on YouTube right now. I'll go back in and tag that when we're finished. Yeah, Kym Rock. Yep, that's it.
Rock. Yep, that's it.
All right, what are you doing? What are you doing personally? Like, you've got all this stuff that you do for other people. What is Kym doing to maintain, to stay sane, to keep it going, keep positive, keep fresh?
Oh, it's like once you've had cancer, like everything else is like, before something used to irritate you, I'm like, I'm alive. So yeah, this is bad. This is bad, but it's always a reason for bad. I know that sounds crazy, but there's always a reason for bad. And you can either come out on the other side of it, or you can crawl into a hole. I choose not to crawl into a hole. So
you have that positive attitude. It's just,
plus I ride my motorcycle.
Plus you ride your motorcycle. That's what my last guest said.
You can ride your motorcycle and be pretty much COVID, protected. I mean, you're covered all over. So I never thought I could walk into a bank with my motorcycle helmet on and gloves, but you actually can now. So
you can. You know what I love about when I read your programs? It's just everything's positive. Like you shared the detail of what happened, but then you spend the majority of the time, almost all of the time, talking about what you did to find a positive, what you created out of that. And I think that is such a big testimony to you and your spirit. Also having cancer, like that's all on there as well, which we didn't dive into, but you just have this amazing gift that you're giving everybody with your positivity. It's impossible, I think, to be around you and be negative.
Yeah, well, but the martial arts is turning negative energy into positive, and if people can learn how to do that, like my kids that are being bullied, they will say something to me like, well, this kid at school keeps telling me that I stink. And I said, okay, well, the next time he tells you that you stink, say, thank you so much. My mom let me clean up a horse stall this morning. I didn't think anybody was going to notice. So I try to teach them how to look at them. So they're like going, what? So
conflict
that kind of works. Yes, conflict resolution. And that's what I'm doing. I have not been in college since 1982. All my credits transferred, and I'm officially a college student online as of today. I started, and I'm gonna get my degree by December in associates in arts, and then I'm going to go into sociology for problem solving in social life or something like that. Anyway,
I think you could teach that class, Kym.
I'm trying to figure that out. So.
All right, you've been a joy. So we can reach you at fightlikeagirl.com, usakarate.org, and then tell them again, Kym Rock on YouTube, correct? KYM.
Kym Rock, just spell it KYM Rock, YouTube. I'll pop right up with the pink hair. So
you're amazing. I really, really enjoyed that. I love your energy. I'd love to have you come back on. We're gonna do a panel coming up about positivity, and I'd love to have you come on. I think you're absolutely awesome.
You know, it'd be interesting to get one of my kids on who have been, that used to be bullied with me.
If anything like that, I'd love to, because I think there are still, like we were saying earlier, there's still adults who are bullies and still adults who are suffering because they were bullied.
Yes, yes.
It never leaves you unless you get therapy or get into martial arts or whatever it is that helps you get that out of your system. So I would love that. I think that would be really powerful.
Domestic violence is a bully.
Yes.
It's a grown-up bully.
Yep.
So there you go.
Agreed. I am a victim of that. Do we even use that word anymore? As a child victim. So it's a serious problem. It can impact your whole life. I've seen it impact people's lives. And if you don't figure out a way to address it, to get in touch with it, figure out how to manage it, it can overcome your whole life and change the trajectory of your life for the positive and the negative.
That's true. And any people who are suffering from addiction, the martial arts is excellent for them to get into. Like if somebody's trying to get over some type of drug abuse, I've been contacted from the mental place here up the street that helps people get back on their feet after being involved in drugs. And they keep mentioning the martial arts. I'm like, oh yeah, it will really help them. You know, if you can get them in here, it'd be really great for them. So.
All right, Kym Rock, you're the best. Thank you so much for coming on the show all the way from Vail, Colorado. Thank you, guys. Please reach out to her. She's accessible. Check out her classes. Check out Fight Like a Girl. Read her story. You're going to be inspired and motivated for sure. Mwah. Thank you so much, Kym.
Thank you. See you later.
Bye, guys.
Be safe in Florida. Bye.
You be safe in Vail.